Hello everyone, welcome back to Drawn by Annie channel. This is me, Annie, and I will be drawing for you today. Grab your tea, coffee and snacks and let's dive into today's video. Today I'm going to draw a close-up on a character's eye, and I think you will guess that pretty quickly because her eyes are very distinct and iconic, but I really wanted to try and draw it with traditional medium, and for this drawing I am using my small format mixed medium sketchbook, and for coloring I'm going to use acrylic paint pens and some brush liners for the line art. This drawing idea actually was given to me by my little nephew. She also likes to draw a lot, just like me, and she also told me a lot of times that she likes how Nezuko looks and like her design, even though she didn't watch the Demon Slayer show where she's coming from. And to be honest, I also didn't finish the show yet. Like, I watched through maybe 10 episodes, if I remember correctly, but I really need to watch it till the end soon because I really like how the art style looks, and I really appreciate how the mangaka and animators made the fighting scenes. They are just so breathtaking. I wanted to draw something little for my little nephew to kind of show her a little bit of my appreciation, even though we don't get to spend much time in real life because we are living abroad, apart from each other. Drawing could be our connection point through the time and space, let's say. And I really hope that she will like the end result too. So this is one of these times where I'm drawing from scratch and actually showing the sketching process from the very start. So I'm starting out with some simple forms and circles to define where the eye should be, and also putting down the locations for the nose and other visible features. So in this case, a little bit of her other eye and some hair and also eyebrow. After I'm done with that, I'm going to put more details like eyelashes and some lines for the hairs, and also put a little bit of shading for me to have like a guide for later coloring, or like a little bit of planning out for the coloring part of the art. And the way I'm trying to figure out the proportions, since this is like a zoom in on the eye, I'm imagining or keeping in mind her full face and kind of using a paper format as a window into this imaginary face of Nezuko, let's say. So I'm trying to keep the proportions and like eye distance and everything like that, so it would look good. You know, it's not an eye that is floating in vacuum, it's like a part of her face, so I have to keep in mind all of that. So to help myself and keep the proportions correct, I'm also sometimes using some guidelines to kind of mark the position of the face features like nose, so it wouldn't go too much on the left or too much on the right. And during sketching process, I'm trying to figure out the correct position here and there. Like sometimes I have to erase a few times before I get it right, but usually it doesn't take me more than 2 or 3 times. Unless I'm like in an art block or something. Then I just can't get it right, however many times I tried. That's just how my art block is. So when I'm done with the sketch, I am usually erasing it a little bit to keep the sketch part as little visible as possible, but in this case I'm okay with keeping it as is because I'm using a colorful pencil for sketching and it's not gonna be very visible anyway under the acrylic paint markers. They're covering everything under them for the most part, and I'm planning to make several layers so it would look like more smooth, because I've noticed that when I'm not using enough layers with acrylic paints, I see a lot of strokes and I don't really like how it looks because I'm so used to coloring with alcohol-based markers and they have this nice flat like smooth color feeling, and I'm still not able to achieve the same or like similar look with my acrylic paint pens. I'm not sure what's the reason. Maybe I'm not using enough layers, or if it's a paper texture that's preventing the acrylic paint from being smooth, or I'm just a perfectionist. I'm not sure. So yeah, I gotta figure that out, hopefully during the art practice that I'm showing you guys here on this channel as well. If you are someone who is using acrylic paint pens, please give me some tips in the comments, because I would really appreciate it. I didn't find so much info about acrylic paint pens or techniques on how to color with them, so I'm kind of figuring out things as I go, but yeah, I would really appreciate some support here. What I've noticed that's been working for me so far is to prime the paper prior to landing the base colors. So basically what I do, I just choose the lightest color that fits in the current artwork, and I'm making a first light layer with acrylic paint, and then after that I just start to build up layers as I go. So I'm landing a base colors for the skin, for example, that's what I'm going to do, and then the color of the hair and the color of her iris. And as soon as that's done, I'm going to make a little bit of shading. I usually find it satisfying if I use one specific color for the shading. It doesn't necessarily have to be matching the skin color, it could be different, but I just needed to kind of define the shape of the face and where the shadows and light forms. So light would be the skin color and the shade would be the color that I choose for it to be. So for this one, I think I'm going to pick a light purple. It kind of is same value, maybe a little bit darker, and that's exactly what I like how it looks, but I'm not sure if that's like a correct color to pick in terms of color theory. I'm just doing it with my gut, so if I like how it looks, I guess then that means that's the color that I'm gonna use. So there is not too much overthinking of that. I'm going to put some pink colors in her iris, like I'm trying to replicate the original colors from the anime. So for that, I'm just going to use a reference and use the closest colors that I have available on my collection. And I'm going to play around a little bit with highlights. I'm just going to put some blobs of white ink here and there, so her eyes will look shiny and sparkly. And I'm going to finish everything with coloring the hair and eyebrow and, you know, everything that's got uncolored. And I see a little bit of emptiness in between eyes, so I decided to put a little bit of a shadow with a light ink and just put a little bit of ink blob on the corner of the page so it doesn't look as flat, I guess. It's just, I wanted to feel something there, but Nezuko's face doesn't have bangs or anything like that, so I just put some random colors there. And when I'm working with acrylic paints, I am usually doing line art as the last part, because acrylics tend to cover everything under them if there are enough layers used. For more contrast also, I like to use black brush pen for the line art, and especially thinking about Demon Slayer style, I really like the idea of a heavy weighted line weight, so I'm going to make Nezuko's eyelashes very thick and fluffy. This will also make her eyes visually larger, which also in turn will make her eyes look more innocent and childish, and that's what Nezuko is for me. A cute little innocent girl that just got unlucky. And I'm also adding some extra lines here and there as per my own style, so this is a little tweak from my experience, let's say. So yeah, I'm going to add a little bit more extra lining under her eyes, on her cheeks, and also on her nose and hair. Also, I need to be very careful with the line art because I've noticed a tendency of it to be smudged because I use brush pens for the line art. I guess if I would be using acrylic paints for the line art as well, it wouldn't be such a problem, but I have less control over the brush tip from the acrylic paint pens. So for line art, I prefer to use something that I have more control with. I mean, for this exact case, I don't need this much of precision because this is like a part of the style. It has this a little bit of a calligraphy look, so it's okay if it's a little bit messy. But overall, I usually like to have my line art under strict control, let's say. So I want it to be a heavy line exactly where I want it to be and a thin line where I want it to be thin. So oftentimes I use thinner fine liners for the line art, and then I'm just putting more line weight where I need it to be because that way it's way easier to control the line weight. But I tend to use this line art technique when I'm coloring with alcohol-based markers because usually in that type of artworks I need more precision. But with acrylic paint pens, I like it to be a little bit messy because it gives me this artsy, messy feeling that is very much expired. That is very much inspiring for me. Inspired and expired. Or expired and inspired. I need to make a print of that. Finally, here is the finished result. I hope you like it. I feel like I managed to catch this innocence and the hope in her look, and I hope it's visible for you too. But feel free to let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on my little talk and drawing. If you want to see more of my work, please do subscribe on this channel and check out my other social media. Also, don't forget to wash your cup, and I hopefully will see you in the next one. Bye bye!